All right, thank you everyone for joining us. This is the virtual statewide meeting for the 2024 to 2027 statewide transportation improvement program. And I'm Judy Chapman, Deputy Director of Planning for DOT. And we just want to get into this webinar really quickly. We are going to have several speakers from DOT today. We'll have our Commissioner Ryan Anderson do some opening remarks. Unfortunately, Ryan was unable to join us in person, so those are some taped remarks. And then we have our Deputy Commissioner Catherine Keith, who will be speaking about tools and the new STIP and the new way of working and viewing the STIP. We'll certainly go through how to make comments on the STIP. And then we're going to have 2 public comment periods for verbal comments. They're going to be limited to 15 minutes and 2 minutes per person, just so we can get enough people in the queue. One will be early in the meeting and the other one will come a little bit later. And we've also got a couple of speakers who will be talking about the funding programs and the projects of statewide significance that we thought you might be interested in that appear in the STIP. So with that, I think I will go ahead and turn it over to the Commissioner's introduction. Take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ryan Anderson. I'm the Commissioner of the Alaska Department of Transportation and Public Facilities. Today, we're here to talk about the Statewide Transportation Improvement Program, or otherwise known as the STIP. It was about, a year and a half, maybe 2 years now, when the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act first came out. And it really changed the landscape of how we needed to start looking at investments in infrastructure, transportation infrastructure in Alaska. And over the past year and a half, we really worked hard to reach out to Alaskans. We've had surveys, we've had a lot of public meetings, we've had presentations. Really, our team has been out there to listen and understand what is the future for Alaska? Where does transportation need to go? What are the needs? One thing that we've really heard a lot about is as a department is, we need to be modern in our transportation system. We need to be agile and responsive in our transportation needs. And we also need to be resilient across the board with all the changes that are coming at us, whether it's the climate, whether it's technology, just so much out there. And I think what you see in this current statewide transportation improvement program is a reflection of those things. So the team's here today to talk you through the statewide transportation improvement program, otherwise known as the STIP. And I hope, feel free to ask questions. We've got a lot of work to do still during this public comment period. And I just want to remind everybody, this is a draft STIP. This is what we're proposing, and we welcome your comments and feedback. Thanks, everyone.
Well, thanks to Commissioner Anderson. And now we'll turn it over to Deputy Commissioner Catherine Keith to talk about some of the tools and new ways of looking at this 2024 to 2027 STIP.
Yeah, hi, everyone. Like Judy mentioned, and thank you for that, Judy. I'm Deputy Commissioner, and I'm here to talk us through some of the tools that we can offer as part of our statewide transportation improvement program. So along with the ways that you're traditionally used to reviewing the STIP, what we have as a modernized STIP includes an interactive map, customizable dashboards, and a comprehensive database. I'm going to have a screen scroll us through some of the tools as I talk. All right, so this is not merely just a presentation of data when you get a chance to dig into the STIP that's online, but it's an immersive digital platform that lets you explore, analyze, and understand our transportation projects in a user-friendly manner. The power of this digital STIP really lies in its enhanced interactivity and customization. So our team can shape the project viewing experience with several tools that we have available. As a user, you can filter projects by funding programs, geographical locations, the region, construction year, or corridor names, and among other criteria. But with just a few clicks, you can generate a personalized list of STIP projects tailored to your unique requirements. This digital STIP that we have, it doesn't just stop at project exploration, but it does provide robust options for how we organize our data. If you like to sort projects in a specific way, you have that opportunity to do so. What you're looking at right now on the screen, this is a traditional PDF document. So for those of us that love to have something in print that we can carry with us and mark up with a good old pen and a highlighter, we have those options available to you. You can go on to the website and then select the specific view that you're interested in, whether you're wanting to look at a northern region project, you want to have snapshots of all of our projects. There's different ways that you can download the STIP in addition to just having, one complete large PDF document. And the reason for doing this was, again, to allow users to interact with the documents in the way that works best for you. You may not want all the details that on the funding of every project, and perhaps it's easier to look at things from a project snapshot perspective, where you'll have all of the projects, but just truncated information. So I encourage you, if you like the PDF versions, just to go ahead and download a few different options and then see which one works best for your needs. And if you want to, I'm going to let the document catch up a little bit. As we try new tools, sometimes we have to learn as we go. Some of us, we like to have Excel in and of itself. So you're able to download Excel tools directly from our database. And then you can create your own documents such as this. If you're interested in working with a more Excel-based document, you can follow the link here to project summaries. We have a version of our database which is more high level. So this version includes project name, a description, we have locations, and then dollar amount by year. In the upper left-hand corner, you can filter projects by whatever criteria you're interested in, as I mentioned, and it's a pretty simple interface with how you do it. You can pick the area of interest and then watch the projects be filtered out in the way that you need. If you're interested in that Excel document, as I mentioned, you can click on the buttons, 3 dots in the upper left-hand corner, and it allows you to download the entire version to your desktop so that you can have it for manipulating the information as you need to present information to any of the stakeholders that you're involved with. If you want additional details about the projects, you can go to the detailed summaries tab. This has a lot more information about the projects, which can be overwhelming when you look at it from this perspective. So do encourage you to experiment with the filters, just play around with it. If you're interested in looking at our projects by strategic investment area or by the landscape or its geographical location, you can do that, and it helps to narrow it down. We also have our projects listed by borough or census area, by the type of funding that they receive. You can even filter it by the dollar amount if you want to see where some of our major projects are going to be centered on across the state. So lots of functionality here, and really the best way is to just get in there and play around with it. You really can't hurt it, and it gives you a good sense of what we're doing and where we're doing it statewide. So really the vision of what we're doing here with our digital dashboards, it should be hopefully clear, is that we really want to be as transparent as possible and improve our public engagement and the experience that you have in working with our STIP. Because the projects that are listed here, they may just be lines in a spreadsheet, but they're really going to impact every Alaskan every day. And so this platform is designed to empower you as users so that you can delve in and engage with it and then let us know your feedback. And to help you be able to understand more visually where information, like what some of this means, we do have dashboards also created, and you can find that on our homepage for the STIP. And the goal with the dashboards is to be able to provide, both brevity of the program at a glance, these snapshots, but then also to be able to give you that depth of data that you may be looking for if you want to understand what investments are being made. So here, this tells you by percentage how much as a state we're investing in our waterways. how much we're investing in urban versus rural Alaska, and whether or not we're investing in things for purposes of sustainability or versus safety. You can also look at them by census area, because we want to make sure that we are equitably investing in our infrastructure across the state. And you can see where some of our major infrastructure projects in certain boroughs are, and then how that looks different compared to what other boroughs may have going on for infrastructure transportation projects. As you go through the dashboards on the left-hand side, we are adding to these all the time. So I encourage you to check back if this is something that you're interested in, and we can always create other tools that may be useful for you with what you're doing with the information. So this is a platform. There's lots of ways that you can use data, but really it's just a way of being able to share some information with you, ideally in a more engaging way. If you want to find information out about a specific project, you can click on the line where the project is, and it'll open up more details about the project itself. It's all the same information. It's from the same place, but it allows you to look at it just in a different way. And sometimes that's really helpful when you're just trying to grasp what's going on. So this interactive STIP, it's not just about giving you information, but it's for us as a department to do as the commissioner is asking of all of us, to focus on a modern, agile, and resilient organization and space that we can interact with the public, with our projects, and then help people make decisions and help inform the public, and allow you to inform us about your needs kind of on your terms. So you'll have a chance to hear from some of our other team members here on how you can leave public comments. And there's opportunities for you to do so by looking geographically at a map. You can scroll in on an area of interest to you, and then you can click on the projects that are in the STIP, which are represented by these red markers. And as you click on it, you'll be able to see information about the project, and you can click on the blue button to participate, which pulls up more information about the project and places where you can leave comments. So this is just a high level glance, and you'll be able to get more information about how you can leave comments and interact with the information here. So with that, I can talk about tools all day, but I'm sure you'd actually like to hear more about projects. And so I'll stop talking, but please, if you have any questions, concerns, you want to have some resources or take additional time to go through some of this information, please reach out to our staff, and we're more than happy to work with you. So thanks for your time and for being interested in our transportation program.
Thank you, DC Keith. Yeah, it certainly is a much more modern look for a STIP for those of you who have looked at our transportation improvement programs over the years, and the tools are really exciting to see. So right now we're going to have our first public comment period. As I mentioned before, it'll be about 15 minutes in length, and Shannon McCarthy, our communications director, will be letting people know as they can speak, and we're limiting comments to about 2 minutes so we can get everyone in. Thanks.
Thanks, Judy. Again, Shannon McCarthy. And if you are on any kind of web browser, you can raise your hand right now, and I will get you in the queue. If you have joined Zoom via phone, you will have to hit *9, and that will raise the queue for me, and I'll be able to call on you. So if you would like, please go ahead and, yep, I can see some people starting to raise their hands. Very good. The first, let's see if, let's go ahead and try to call on 907-733-1656. And I'm a little concerned because we may have to have our other co-host assist with unmuting people. Can 733-1656 hear me? Judy, we may have to postpone this portion of the public input comment period because the other co-host has permission and they've had to step away from their desktop for just a moment.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, we will we'll resume public comment. Don't worry, just after a moment and we get that technical issue resolved. We'll move on to Director of Planning and Program Development, James Marks, and James is going to be talking a little bit about the funding changes that have occurred since the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act came into effect. James.
Yeah, thanks, Judy. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. As Judy said, my name is James Marks. I'm the Alaska DOT Director of Planning and Program Development. I'm based out of Juneau, but I oversee a division that's spread out over the entire state and filled with highly qualified, engaged planning professionals that really have our communities and transportation system needs at heart. And so I just wanted to give a big shout out to all the planners across the state that have such the privilege and responsibility of working with you all to bring your needs into the STIP. I also wanted to take some time to thank our commissioner, deputy commissioners, our communications, admin services, digital and data modernization teams. This was a really whole of department exercise, and there was a lot of many folks that were involved in this, which is definitely a new way of developing these STIPs. So there's a lot of excitement, but there's also a lot of new. So I wanted to start with kind of zooming out high level and talking about the family of plans for those of you who may or may not be familiar with our planning hierarchy. DOT has a long-range transportation plan, and as we've been developing this new long-range transportation plan, it really was, how do we make this planning effort and the connection to all of our plans and eventually to specific projects really intentional. So we've made some of those connections to developing a strategic investment plan, to making connections to our modal and our systems plans and to our regional and area plans. Slide. So what is the STIP in relation to it? Well, the STIP is the final one of those final steps, right, where we've gone through working with stakeholder groups, evaluating conditions, going through numerous public involvement efforts and working with communities and identifying those needs and programming those needs. So what is the STIP? Well, the STIP guides efforts to maintain, enhance, and expand Alaska's transportation system. It does outline our transportation programs and projects scheduled for implementation over a 4-year period. It also increases the safety of Alaska, which is our number one focus area. It does that by ensuring proper maintenance, by promoting statewide economic growth, by enhancing our resilience and our sustainability. One of the big shifts is looking at the STIP as a strategic investment plan and how we prioritize transportation investments. And you'll see that as you start to look at some of those tools that Deputy Commissioner Keith described, where we are looking at things by how much are we investing in economic vitality and how much are we investing in sustainability. It also provides the public, you all, an opportunity to share your valuable feedback on any proposed initiatives. We do want to hear from you. We want to make this, it is a collaborative process. There has been a lot of collaboration up until now, but we need your input to make this truly an Alaskan plan and program. So as the Deputy Commissioner mentioned in how investments were being evaluated, this gives you just one cross section of those strategic investment areas. These areas were identified in our long-range transportation plan, and they start to describe how the department is going to be looking at investing going forward, where roughly 35% of all investments that's in this 4-year window of the STIP are going to state of good repair. That's preserving our assets. Roughly 22% are going to projects that improve safety for Alaskans on the transportation systems. Nearly 20% are going to projects that are aimed to improve the economic vitality and support thriving communities across Alaska. One important thing to note when you're looking at the STIP is a 4-year document. However, for anything other than the most simple projects, project delivery can generally take anywhere from 3 to 6 years to get from design to construction. So for this reason, we've actually added additional years being shown in this STIP to provide more transparency in where the department intends to reach certain critical milestones in a project by project basis. So, again, this is one more mechanism in trying to provide that transparency in projects that might be within the STIP window, but would also be, in the next STIP. Another important thing to understand with the STIP is that it's not a whole new set of projects. Many of the same projects that you will have seen before in previous STIPs or multiple previous STIPs will be in this version also, due to the nature of project delivery. What this graphic shows us is that some projects are started before, will start and finish construction during the STIP. Some projects will start during the STIP, and some projects will span the previous, the current, and the next STIP. Slide. So what can you expect to find in the 2024 to 2027 STIP? Well, for one, there are some exciting new programs that will have more information developed on in the coming months, such as housing roads and frontier roads, trails, and bridge program. Deputy Commissioner and Commissioner mentioned the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. That is the transportation law that is in effect and began in 2021. The rules and the funding for IIJA were provided all throughout 2022 as our Federal Highways Administration went through their rulemaking. That new law made several new programs that now allows for projects that DOT have not been able to engage in before, such as, the electrification of infrastructure, EV charging, resiliency, planning, and infrastructure. You're going to start to see a lot of those programs that throughout this next STIP that we've been planning for and preparing for. And we're in pretty much the same situation that most other states are in, where it's something new. We have to develop that. And it started at the top with the federal government, and you're going to start to see those rolling out, which is exciting news. In the previous STIPs, go back one. In previous STIPs, there are numerous programs, sometimes by region or other distributions. In many cases, those programs have been consolidated into single Alaska-wide programs. This really allows for more flexibility when assessing our needs across those programs year over year, rather than an arbitrary amount that is designated to a location. We can actually start to use data and new modern tools to inform where we can move the needle with respect to state safety and with respect to state of good repair and economic vitality. Some of those include things like our Highway Safety Improvement Program, our Preservation and Management Program, and our Data Modernization and Innovation Program. You'll also continue to see existing programs such as the Community Transportation Program and Transportation Alternatives Programs. Those are funded within the next 4 years of the STIP. You will also continue to see existing projects that have been in previous STIPs, as I mentioned before. And finally, I mentioned the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act on the previous few slides. This slide gives you a sense of what the new federal programs are. The top line of this table, what's called apportion programs, was the typical funding programs that includes things like national highways, surface transportation, highway safety improvement, and planning funds that Alaska would typically receive before IIJA. All of the lines below that are all new with IIJA. I also said that IIJA funding and final guidance and rules became available throughout 2022. So throughout 2022 and 2023, in near real time, we were developing those programs. And as I said before, you are seeing those in the new STIP. And with that, I will hand it back to Judy to see if we're ready for our public comment period.
Yes, thanks, James. Appreciate that. I'm going to hand it over to Shannon again. Shannon, are we spooled up now?
I believe we are. So I would like to go ahead, and if you want to raise your hand again, I know some of you have just left your hands up, which is very convenient for me. Thank you so much. I'm going to call on the phone. Oops, we just lost him. Actually, Sam Dapsovich is on board. Sam, do you want to go ahead and unmute number 7331656.
Okay,
So caller,
Oh, hello.
yep, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. My name is Becky Long, and I'm from Talkeetna. And my public comment is that I do not think that you should list the $88.5 million for the 15-mile road and bridge on the West Susitna. It should not be listed in the STIP. We have some very terrible roads and bridges in this borough that we can use the money for. And I'm afraid if this project goes forward, that the $88.5 million will turn into $200 million because of what happened at Cooper Landing. The go around at Cooper Landing, it costed 2.5 times more than the original cost. I'm afraid that that's going to happen. The state is being disingenuous, saying that this is like a new project that's different from the West Susitna 110-mile industrial access road. It is not different. It is the first stepping stone to it. Whether it's DOT or ADA, it is part of, the whole package. And that means that we will have 2-ton ore trucks moving through the heart of our fish and wildlife areas, our residential areas, our commercial economic areas. If this project keeps going on, we don't have enough troopers for the roads that we have now, and creating a whole nother road like this is just wrong. And I will look at the central region and provide comments on stuff that I think should be funded. Thank you very much.
Thank you. With that, I will go to Emily Weiser. Emily, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi. I have kind of a logistical question about the announcement for today's open house. I noticed that there's nothing about it on the project website, or at least nothing that I could find. So I was wondering sort of why that was, and then also if the recording for this will be available, then I was wondering where that's going to be posted. Thanks.
Of course, I can just jump in, James. It is on the publicinput.com page. Oh, but you're right. I think the link is obscure, so we'll fix that for the following following meetings, and then also we can post this both on social media, Facebook, and then on the website itself. Emily, does that conclude your comment at this point?
Yep, thanks.
Thank you. With that, we're going to go ahead and unmute Morgan B. Go ahead and unmute yourself, and you can give your comment.
Hi, I'm the Public Works Director for the Kitchiking Gateway Borough. And in reviewing the STIP, I do find that it's I find that there's very little forward vision relative to transportation needs in this community. The projects that we have that are in Ketchikan, Alaska, have really been on the list for the most part since the 2018 STIP, and likely even prior to that for the South Tongass Highway, Deermont to Shoup Street project, or Surf Street, I guess it is. And at this point, the South Tongass Highway realignment project is being pushed back to 2026 to 2028, which means that a portion of it won't even fall within this particular funding program. There's no design funds for looking at South Tongass Highway between Mountain Point and Herring Cove, which is beginning to evidence signs that the road is that the culverts are failing beneath the roadway. It's just it doesn't seem like there's very much emphasis on anything, at least locally, beyond what was in the prior STIPs. And I think that's a little bit distressing, and I think that there's quite a bit that's on the needs list that could probably be further examined. and then above and beyond that, the community transportation program and the transportation alternative programs, which are highlighted in here, we haven't been able to convene, or DOT has not been able to convene a PEB for review. So we don't really know what the contours of that program looks like. There's just a lot of very open questions at this time on the current step. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I will move to Marilyn Russell. Marilyn, would you please unmute yourself and go ahead and give us your comment?
Yes, hello. Two things. I just want to let you know that AARP, and I'm on the committee for Age Friendly. We are very interested in asking people at the street level what they think to improve different areas of different domains within the town of Anchorage. And this is happening around 750 different cities in the United States. And one of the domains is transportation. So a lot of people want improvements. However, and this is one of the main things I want to say, we are looking at climate change. And we want to be able to have communities that we could do more walking in order to get to shops or whatever, in smaller communities. So please keep that in mind. I don't know what the, magic way of looking at it, but just please do that, because I think that we're headed for that in the future. Is there another way to talk about that? Just the future and how we want to walk rather than doing so much driving.
Marilyn, are you asking us a question, or is that?
Yeah, I'm asking. I'd like to have a discussion. I'd like to hear people talking about that. And maybe this is the wrong place, but I think that's a real thing of the future, doing more walking rather than driving.
Well, thank you for that comment, and that I will certainly forward that on to our planning section.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. With that, we have one more person, Melissa, and I pronounce your name. How do you pronounce your name? Is it Hewer?
Yes, it's Hoyer.
Hoyer. Okay, go ahead and give us your comment. Thank you for being patient.
Oh yeah, of course. I was more asking a question about process. I'm new to this STIP deal and wondering how projects, are they ranked on here? If there's a project that a lot of people don't think is a good idea, does it get moved down or taken off the list? Does something move up the list if it gets a lot of support? What's the process for how these get funded, and in which, just kind of that general overview of how it works?
Right. James, I don't know if you can quickly comment on that within the 2-minute period.
Yeah, I'd be happy to take a shot. And I'm going to take a relatively complicated multiple sets of processes and kind of distill it down. There's really kind of 3 major tracks where things that are either data driven, when these are typically found in our programs, and other things where we're using data to guide how we need to invest. You're going to see that a lot with safety, where we're looking at crashes, fatalities, serious injuries. When we're trying to maintain our assets and our facilities, we're looking at pavement and bridge degradation models and what is currently being evaluated by our M&O crews. So there's that kind of track where we're looking at data to help inform decision making. There's a community transportation track where you're going to see solicitations where we would go out and do a call for projects. You're going to see that in our active community transportation program and transportation alternatives program, where we will issue a notice and do a call for projects to solicit and fund community needs. There's regulation that is attached to that says, what the funding amounts and how things get distributed, and we'd be happy to follow up with you on as much detail as you'd like. And the third one is really looking at the broader needs, where there's really important things that across the state we know, we're cognizant enough to know that our data is not complete, and not everything can be done through a competitive process. So it's it's really working with community leaders, with the public to identify what those critical needs are. But no project makes its way into the STIP without, the commissioner's approval. So there's a lot of discussion and things that happen behind. So hopefully that helps, but there probably answers more questions, makes more questions that we could follow up with you in more detail if you'd like.
Yeah, can I just ask a clarifying, that was helpful, but so is it fair to assume that if a project made it onto this draft STIP, it is going to be funded? Is there any way to get a project removed from the STIP once it's on?
That's also a pretty long answer, and just in the sake of time, we'll probably follow up with you. But there's different ways. I mean, things when we run into environmental issues or other. There's a multitude of ways how things can come off the STIP. But we can follow up with you in more detail.
Yeah, and James, if I could just jump in and just say your comments do matter, and so that's why we're asking for them. So if you don't like something that's in there, we need to hear that as well. It doesn't all have to be, like we love this thing. We're interested in your honest comments. And so we will get back to anyone who, submits a written comment, and we would encourage you to do that.
Sorry, this is my last one. And we would submit that question or that comment just through the website comment form. And that's how the best way to be in contact.
Yes. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we're going to go to Gary Robertson rather. Go ahead and unmute yourself and give us your 2-minute comment.
Yes, hi. I represent a material that can turn soil into stone in 24 hours for road base, walkways, like the gal commented, trails. That is non-dispersive underwater. It will not come apart. We can achieve 2 million PSI for haul roads. And then you don't have to have but a 2-inch layer of asphalt over the top. So what we're doing is reversing the old idea of a road. We're putting the strength in the base, and then we only have to have a traction surface on it. So I would sure like to have somebody email me, Gary@lithtech.com, and set up a meeting with you guys to introduce our product to Alaska.
Gary, why don't you go ahead and put your information into the chat feature, and we can have someone follow up with you.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Sykes, Jim Sykes, please go ahead and unmute yourself and go ahead and comment.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you and good afternoon. My name is Jim Sykes. I am here to comment and ask questions as an individual. I did serve previously on the Mat-Su Borough Assembly when this West Susitna Road project that is in the draft STIP started moving a little bit. I'm also a current member of the Mat-Su Borough Fish and Wildlife Board, but I am only testifying as an individual here. My first question is about the schedule. It seems like this is not an ideal time to be getting comments from some of the most people who are most affected by this project. And there are lots of people, business people, who are at full throttle with their summer activities that are going to go through October. And I think that they deserve a fair chance to comment on this. And I don't think September the 3rd is a reasonable date to expect people to do that. So I'm requesting, and I'm happy to put it in writing, a 90-day delay until December 3rd so people can close up their operations and have a chance to think about it and testify. In terms of the safety issues, I know you look at safety, resiliency, economic vitality, but the transportation system we've got is really pretty good for what it is. And so when I was on the assembly, we kind of had what I would call a bait and switch attitude when this first came about. The borough was first asked just to bless the project, but then when we started asking questions, is it going to be a private road, a public road? Well, it was going to be private at first, but it changed to public. And now it's just going to be recreation. But in reality, it's a piece of a 100-mile long road to a mine. And so if it's going to be recreation, let's have that discussion, because some of the places that have been identified to recreate, such as fishing locations, are currently available for fishing, and people do fish them. And it's not like we have a lot of extra fish out there, because things are declining. We're trying to get things restored, but they're not there yet. So I think that you need to consider the facts, not just about the surface of the road, but whether or not it's actually needed at this time, and would ask you to put on hold, or at least put a pause on it, this so that it doesn't go forward any further in this step until we have some idea, a realistic idea of what's going to happen, because it's still going through the Core 404 permit. And I think we need to know a lot more before we can really evaluate what it's actually going to look like. So that's my comments for now. And I do thank you for asking people, but I think that you're cutting out significant numbers of people that really need to be able to comment. And that's why I'm asking for the extension as the main point of my coming to this meeting today.
Thank you so much for your comment. Is there anyone else that would like to make a comment at this time? All right, we will return back to Judy. We'll have a second public comment period later on in this meeting.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. We're going to turn it over to Ben White, our Anchorage Field Office Planning Chief, to talk about the programs that are in the STIP. Thanks, Ben.
Yep, thanks, Judy. As Commissioner and others have pointed out, you know, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, or IIJA that we affectionately call it here, has provided the state an opportunity to look at our programs and our projects going forward. And I think if we could switch to the next slide, I'll walk us through some of the existing programs that we have in place, but also the exciting opportunity for some new programs that we have here. As was previously mentioned, we have currently going on some existing programs across the state. Our community transportation program and our transportation alternatives program, we call them CTP and TAP. We recently had a solicitation for projects this spring, and the department is still evaluating and considering those submittals. And so the intent is to try and wrap those into the STIP at a later date. We also have other programs across the state where we're looking at the Highway Safety Improvement Program, what we call preventative maintenance, but you'll also see it in the STIP as our Pavement and Bridge Preservation Program. And this is where we can get out and actually do some preservation, state of good repair type replacements and fixes to our roads and infrastructure. We also have a bridge program, culvert replacement program, and then we also have research and planning. That's another vital program for us across the state. The exciting thing that we're looking forward to are some of these new programs that IIJA offers us the ability to do. And we'll get into a little bit more on the funding and how it led to the programs. But we're excited to try and roll out some new programs with Frontier Roads. We have Trails and Bridges programs coming up, and also Roads to Housing. The STIP will list out a lot of these new programs. And so I encourage folks to dive into the STIP and take a look at some of these programs and provide us with some comments and feedback. We're also advocating and looking forward to any needs that are out there that we're not aware of. And those needs can be submitted through our transportation funding hub. And if you need access to that or have help, need help in finding where to find that on our website, that's what we're here to do. And we can provide help. And so just reach out to our planning staff. Next slide. So as it was pointed out by Director Marks, the funding typically will roll into the department, and that funding is connected to either existing programs, existing projects, or some new programs and new projects. And so this is a laundry list of funding that is available. We have some that's it's existing funding, but it's been modified and some flexibilities have been opened up for us with the new Infrastructure and Investment Jobs Act. which is very beneficial to us as a state. And you can see some of them in here. Some of the really exciting things is how we use our ferry boat formula. We've also got some additional opportunities with some of our surface transportation block grant that allows us to provide funding for some of these newer programs. The new funding that we're looking into and excited about are some things like the promoting resilient operations and transformative, efficient, and cost-saving transportation program, which is why we use the acronym of PROTECT. It's a little easier for us to get that one out, but the new things like PROTECT, our carbon reduction program, these are new funding sources that will allow us to develop new programs and take a look at projects in particular that we may not have been able to fund in the past, that this will allow us to go forward with some of these. Another exciting opportunity that I'm privileged to get to say, because I get to work with two of our metropolitan planning organizations here in the Anchorage area. We've got our metropolitan planning organizations, which we call MPOs. These are federally required. It's based on population in our urbanized areas in the state. We currently have 2 approved that have gone through the process and have been approved by the governor. And they are the Anchorage metropolitan area and fast planning in Fairbanks. And we are currently working with our partners out in the Mat-Su Valley, working on the Mat-Su Valley planning, which will be the newest MPO. They're working on their efforts right now to become an official MPO. The real exciting thing, it's not new necessarily to transportation and infrastructure, the regional planning organization. It's an effort here in Alaska. It's a little new to Alaska. We've got some pilot efforts going on right now where we're starting to form RPOs, or regional planning organizations. And both of these organizations are important to us because it allows us to have more input, more involvement, and direct connection with local communities and the transportation needs in each of these communities. And so it's a very, very collaborative working process with our local communities. We get input, and they are the ones that help us actually implement some of the STIP in their communities. Next slide. So I've kind of gone into a little bit about what our MPOs and RPOs are, but this is kind of the role, and this is why we're excited to get to work and partner with our MPOs and RPOs in the state. They help us prioritize transportation projects in the region, in their area, and so we're working hand in hand with them. They are also, the MPOs are responsible and working on their long-range transportation planning, which is also being developed alongside with us and the state's long-range transportation plan. So it's part of that whole hierarchy that Director Marks was talking about as our family of plans and how things are programmed. They are allowed to, the MPOs and RPOs are encouraged to apply for funding transportation projects or grants. A lot of what the Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act created was grant opportunities. And a lot of times the communities, the MPOs, RPOs, and others are allowed to or are considered grant applicants, whereas a state DOT may not qualify for some of these. So we get to partner with the local communities on these things. And we've become more successful with grant applications working with our communities. They also the MPOs are developing their transportation improvement programs, or TIPs, which are very similar to our STIP. And it's incorporated and rolled into the STIP. And that's how we are working together to make sure that local transportation needs are being met. And it is an opportunity for us to collaborate and work together as agencies and organizations to make sure that we're meeting the needs of the local communities. And I believe with that slide, that's kind of walking through our programs. And so I'm going to turn it over to Sarah. She's going to go through the projects of significance.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I'm Sarah Lucy. I'm the planning manager out of the Fairbanks field office, and I have a couple of projects to go over with you tonight. The first one being the Sterling Highway milepost 45 to 60, also known as the Cooper Landing Bypass. This project went into construction in 2019, is continuing to move forward. The purpose is to increase the safety of travelers, improve access for residents and businesses, increase efficiency, reduce risk to the Kenai River, improve noise, air, and congestion in Cooper Landing. DOT is adjusting the schedule to accommodate the rising project costs. The Sterling Highway Milepost 45 to 60 project is constructed or will be constructed in 6 phases. Need ID 33242 is the one I have up here on the slide, and it represents phase 2 and the construction of the Juneau Creek Bridge, which is estimated as at $165 million. Project costs have doubled over the last 5 years, and DOT is evaluating options to seek discretionary grant opportunities and innovative financing to keep the project on track without having to delay hundreds of other transportation projects statewide. The cost estimate changes between 2022 and 2023 alone represent an 18% increase in pricing, and this is outpacing previous estimates. The project is also undergoing phases 3 and 4. Phase 3 is blasting work on the east side of the project. Phase 3 and 4 are establishing staging and disposal sites, roadway embankment, and drainage, and will construct wildlife undercrossings. This project will be substantially complete by the end of July of 2024. And more information about the project can be found at sterlinghighway.net. This is the Safer Seward Highway project. This project will construct safety and traffic flow improvements on the Seward Highway, milepost 98.5 to 118 from Bird Flats to Rabbit Creek. This project is an expansion from the original Windy Corners projects to develop a more comprehensive safety solution. This section of the highway has a much higher rate of fatal and major injury crashes than similar corridors in the state. The project will improve the Seward Highway with a goal to decommission the safety corridor designation. The project will incorporate bicycle and pedestrian improvements and evaluate innovative ways to expand the highway with minimal impact to the railroad and turning it on. That includes tunneling. This 20-mile segment, one of the most challenging to reconstruct, the Seward Highway between Anchorage and Girdwood, is constrained between the steep slopes of the Chugach Mountains and the waters of the Turnagain Arm. DOT is aiming to complete the environmental assessment by the end of 2024. Design will follow, with the earliest construction to begin in 2025. A list of possible improvements and measurable results can be found on the project website, safersewardhighway.com. Let's see, the West Susitna Access Road project. This is new into the STIP, and this project will construct a 15 to 20 mile public roadway and bridge across the Susitna River, connecting the contiguous highway system to the state recreation lands west of the Susitna River. The project will include construction of a boat launch facility accessing the Susitna River. DOT was involved in completing a reconnaissance study in 2013, exploring the West Susitna access, which identified many resources west of the Parks Highway, including the extensive recreational opportunities and identifying the limited transportation infrastructure. This project is a shift from an industrial road concept to a public road, providing access to recreational activities. However, the Alaska Industrial Development and Export Authority, ADA, will continue to evaluate the feasibility of resource development further west. For more information, you can reference our DOT Commissioner Anderson's press release dated July 27th of 2023. And the Alaska Highway bridges. You'll see the 3 bridges outlined here on our slide, and we want to confirm that safety is our top priority here, and state of good repair is always a goal for DOT. These bridges were originally built in 1944 and are on a critical freight route for interior Alaska and on the interior highway system, and detour routes are very long. Replacing the bridges will upgrade the crossings to current structural and seismic standards, which have significantly evolved since the bridges were originally constructed 8 decades ago, including bridge railings designed for modern vehicles and highway speeds. The replaced bridges are expected to have a design life of 75 years, accommodating transportation needs well into the future. The timing of these replacements are related to the increased bridge funding available with the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act legislation to address bridges in poor to fair condition. And that wraps up my projects of significance, and I will hand slides back over to Judy.
All right, well, we are a little bit early, and so we're going into a second public comment period now. And because we've got 5 minutes, we've gained about 5 minutes. I think we could probably go a little longer on this one, maybe 20 minutes for public comments, and I'll transition over to Shannon to get that rolling. Thanks,
Yeah,
Shannon.
thank you. Thank you, Trudy. If anyone would like to make a comment at this time, if you're on a web browser, you go ahead and raise your hand on Zoom. If you are on a phone, just hit *9 and I will be able to see your hand go up. All right, we have one person who has raised her hand. It's Melissa. Melissa, do you have a sec? There we go. Melissa, do you have a second comment? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Actually, my name is Margaret Stern. I am sharing a Zoom account right now.
Sure.
So apologies for that. I'm speaking on behalf of the Susitna River Coalition. We're a watershed organization based in the Susitna Valley. The Susitna River Coalition comments on behalf of more than 14,000 individuals, groups, and businesses who support our work. We support the communities and ecosystems that are sustained by the resources of the Susitna watershed from the headwaters to the mouth. And we were extremely surprised to see a portion of the Bad Ada project West Susitna Industrial Access introduced as a portion of this DOT STIP proposal. The public has been against this project from the beginning. The Mat-Su Borough conducted public outreach regarding the project, and it indicated that over 75% of individuals were against this project, regardless of whether it provided public access or not. We should be spending our money on a project that we should not be spending our money on a project that people do not want when more investments are needed in our current infrastructure. We also have concerns about the cost estimates. We're concerned about the DOT cost estimates are not accurate, particularly because DOT has yet to finalize an actual route. We recommend that this project be pulled and that money be invested where the people actually want it, into our communities, into fixing the infrastructure that we currently have, and not sneaking in the beginning of a road for the interests of extractive industries. Please remove West Susitna Industrial Access from your plan.
All right, thank you so much. Does anyone else want to? Oh, did that conclude your, Margaret, did that conclude your testimony?
That concludes my testimony. Thank you so much for having us on, for holding this.
Yeah, thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to comment at this time? If you would like to comment, just go ahead and raise your hand if you're on a web browser. Emily, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, I've got another website question for you. I was trying to look up the Safer Seward Highway project under the project tab, and nothing's coming up either under Seward Highway or under the project ID. So is that somewhere else, or am I looking in the wrong place?
Why don't I go ahead and have someone from planning go ahead and contact you tomorrow, and we'll walk through that.
Great, thanks.
Of course. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, we have it is 733-1656. Go ahead and give us your comment.
Hi, this is Becky Long again. I won't take up too much of your time, but I just want to say that there's not too many people making public comments. I don't know how many people are listening to the meeting, but I think that shows, you know, kind of what Jim Sykes was saying, is that this is exactly a totally busy time for businesses, for private people, for the public to focus on this, and they just don't have time. And it just really shows that you're going to have to extend the public comment period. I just don't see like you have any choice, or else it's not going to be a very robust document that comes as a result of the public comment. I mean, this is one thing that the public gets mad about, because a lot of state agencies do this in the middle of the busiest time of the year, and people can't focus on it. So anyway, I'll shut up about that, and thank you for having this chance and for taking my comment again.
Of course, thank you for commenting. With that, Morgan has raised his hand. I've unmuted you. Go ahead and give us your comment.
Thank you. Two items. The first is that I'm curious about the Rural Community Connections Program, Housing Roads Program, and Frontier Roads, Trails, and Bridges Program. It's unclear whether or not those programs have been developed from DOT's end, or if those are programs that will be pending that you guys are still processing? And then the second question I have is the South Coast region is having a town hall meeting next week in Juneau. Is that going to be webcast, or is that solely a live occasion?
Judy, you want to grab that one?
Yeah, so actually that was my next comment I was going to make, is that we are having 3 regional meetings next week in Juneau, Anchorage, and Fairbanks. The meetings in Anchorage and Fairbanks are on the 9th at 5 o'clock. The Anchorage one will be at the BP Energy Center on the Seward Highway there. And the Fairbanks one will be at the DOT offices on the west side of Pegger Road. So it's in the McKinley building on the west side of Pegger. And then on the 10th, also at 5 o'clock, we'll have the Juneau public meeting, and that will be at the Juneau Arts and Culture Center down at Centennial Hall area in Juneau. So there's a number of opportunities coming up. None of those will be live broadcasts. Those are in-person meetings, but we tried to have them in hubs so that people could, you know, depending on where they are, attend if they couldn't attend this public meeting. A couple other comments I'll just make based on the comments. We are a little bit, we do have a federal requirement to have a STIP in place every 4 years. And our current STIP is expiring. So we are a little bit in a position of needing to get this one out. I also just wanted to comment that the STIP is a fluid document. It doesn't like go into effect every 4 years and then it's set in stone. It's actually amended and modified constantly throughout those 4 years. So I just want folks to know that we do take comments on amendments. There's usually a 30-day comment period on those. But there will be more opportunities after this to comment if certain projects, I know you mentioned West Susitna not being something you wanted to see, but if that was to continue forward, you'd have other opportunities before it got along very far to make substantive comments. It's very fluid, and I guess that's all I wanted to say on that topic at this point. Are there more public comments coming in?
So Judy, there is another person that would like to make a comment. Can I go ahead and unmute that person?
Yeah.
Great. So this is Kendra. Kendra, go ahead and well, I think Kendra just lowered their hand. Let's see. Let me just double check on that. Oh, nope. I can go ahead and unmute you. Go ahead and give us your comment.
Yeah, this is Kendra Zamzo. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that I got this right about the Cooper Landing bypass. I know it's been increasing in costs, and you're looking for other ways to fund it to keep it on schedule. But did you say you might have to remove funding from other proposed projects to try to keep this on track?
Well, and I can probably answer that one. So we are required to have our STIP be fiscally constrained, which just means that we program the total amount of projects to the amount of funding that we anticipate bringing in. And those are all federal dollars, federal transportation dollars. So there's a limited amount of funding to go around, and then that funding's chopped up into little pots. And so certain projects can meet the funding eligibility, and it gets very complicated. But so if you have a lot of projects that you'd like to do and you've got one big elephant in the room, you do have that issue. It is true also that once a project has gotten underway and had some work behind it, especially after it's gotten through an environmental phase, it tends to go forward. And that was the case with Cooper Landing bypass. I think there's a lot of expectations that we will complete that project. So I don't expect it to go away. At most, it would slow down, which is something we wouldn't want to see either. So that's why we're also taking a look at the discretionary grant opportunities. There's lots of money out there that's available if you want to put in a good nomination and compete for it. There's going to be competition across the United States. So that is a strategy we've been chasing, and we've been fairly successful in certain areas of bringing additional funding beyond what was programmed or anticipated into the state. And we're also very supportive of other communities that are trying to do that. We, like I think James had said, we try to partner with those communities, and if they have a transportation need and we can help, then we're doing a lot of that, and vice versa.
Kendra, did you want to add any more to your comment?
No, thank you. That was it.
Okay, thank you. We do have an additional person that would like to comment. Jennifer Rosenthal. Let me go ahead and unmute you and go ahead and give us your comment.
Yeah, hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Jen Rosenthal with Copper Valley Development Association. And there was a couple of comments made toward grant opportunities. And Judy, I think you just mentioned one. Is there a place on the DOT website where you have those grant opportunities kind of condensed somewhere, or a direction on where some of us smaller rural communities who aren't MPOs can look for funding like that?
Yeah, actually, the best place to go is the Alaska Transportation Funding Opportunities Hub. And if you Google that, I know it's a mouthful, but it's a site that we created, DOT created with Alaska Municipal League, and Alaska Municipal League is currently maintaining the site. But the intent with it is that when a community or an organization has a transportation project, they can nominate it to the site. If they know the program that it needs, or that they intend the funding, to come from, they can specify that. And if they don't know, it goes into a pool, and then, the folks maintaining the site look at those projects in context of it, funding opportunities that come up, and try to pair them, and then let that entity know, hey, we've got a potential pair. You might want to go after this grant that's due on September 15th or whatever it might be. So currently there are a number of federal grants out. There's the mega infra and rural project grants are due, I think, at the beginning of September or middle of September. And then also we have a protect program, which is resiliency-based grants that are coming due, I think, on the 18th of August. And so there's always these federal notices of funding opportunities that come out. They are posted on the Alaska Transportation Funding Opportunity Hub. And so it is an opportunity to chase that down if you want to just specifically apply with the federal government and not go through that hub for some reason.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is there anyone else that would like to give public comment at this time? Lee McKnight, go ahead. I'm going to unmute you, and you are welcome to give us your comment.
Yeah, Lee McKnight, I'm a Mat-Su-Borough resident, business owner out here in the Valley, and been following the West Susitna Access Project for a number of years now. And essentially it seems it's been rebranded into a DOT project, but then if you read their proposal, it says that they're proposing now to get the funding to build this short section road and then a bridge across the Susitna, and then study the feasibility of going further with roads on the other side. So why it seems like an inept and derelict use of money to build a bridge and then study whether you're going to put roads on the other side. So I mean, I could go on for quite some time on reasons why I would pull it, but that one in and of itself seems like a good enough reason to pull that proposal. So that is my comment on that.
Yeah, we would encourage you to put that in writing as well, if you can.
Oh, I will.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right. Is there anyone else that would like to give a comment at this time? All right. I think we have worked through our list. Judy, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to turn it over to James Marks for final closing remarks. And I see we have our ways to comment on the STIP up here on the screen. You can text comments, you can call us, you can certainly leave online comments. There is a planner map on the DOT website that indicates who your area planner is, and you can always call that person. They're intimately familiar with your specific area. And there's many of them out there. And so we do encourage people to let us know what they like, what they don't like, what they're concerned about. And certainly if you can attend any of those meetings next week, many of us will be at those meetings to talk with you specifically. James, do you want to take it from here?
Oh, I don't think you took all my comments. Yeah, no, that's great. That's the point of this. It's an iterative process where we go out and we talk and we have, hopefully meaningful conversations. So I encourage everybody to get on those links that are provided. We'll try to provide links also in follow up and post these all to the project website for the STIP rollout. Please, I think we did, this is recorded and will be put out for review later, but we'll be going through and making sure we address all of these comments to the extent that we're able to. Also, those public meetings are a great place for you to, as Judy said, to meet with your area planners, to meet with those folks that are intimately familiar with your areas, and talk about, not just what is in the STIP, but what could be in the STIP. In some of these areas, there's programs and opportunities in the STIP, and identifying how we can get access to those. And in some cases, those programs are going to be developed, but getting connected to the person for your area is the best way to get access to those as they start to become available. And with that, I will just close us out. And again, I want to thank everybody for attending. I think it's an exciting time in the transportation industry, and just a big thanks to the whole DOT team and all of our partners that have helped get us to where we are today. And with that, I'll bid you all a good evening. Thanks.